Okay, but here's what I want to tell you about recruiting. One of the things that I found was that I guess it was 2009. During after the big downturn of 2007 and 2008. I was trying to figure out, how can you make money in the real estate business? And he said, well, we can increase per person productivity, but in Silicon Valley, 25,300 sales went down to 12,200 sales. So that was a little bit hard. Could increase our dollar retained, but all the better agents paid at the higher split were doing all the business when the market was tougher. So I thought, okay, maybe one of the things we can do is we can start to recruit. And then so we put together a recruiting plan and really had a great deal of accountability to it. And then as I was monitoring it every day or scorekeeping every single day, what I found out was that we weren't getting appointments, we weren't recruiting because they didn't kind of know what to say. So we made up all sorts of scripts. I'm going to give you like an overall philosophy on the scripts of what we did. So I'm going to click through. This is just stuff about Intero. So I'm going to click through. There we go. All right, recruit by scripts. Okay, now that was probably the best presentation so far. Okay, well that's it. Thank you. Okay, so here's the idea. I'm going to give you a dialogue, and we'll kind of like talk about it. So the way I've set it up was it's a dialogue of here's a dialogue. Here's perhaps what an agent might say. And here's the purpose of the whole thing. Because if I get my manager to understand the philosophy behind what we're trying to do, our whole philosophy is not saying we're better than the other company. Our whole philosophy is not saying, oh, we've got, terabits or Agent Achieve because they've got something else that's exactly, that they just have a different name to it, okay? So we try to recruit to the whole idea of making the agent better. Okay, that they're going to get better, and we actually overcome sometimes the objection of someone not wanting to make a lateral move. Well, it's a lateral move if you stay where you're at. It's not a lateral move if you come here. So that's kind of the whole philosophy behind it. The other philosophy behind the way we like to recruit is recruiting is kind of like dating. All right, so you wouldn't on the very first date say, "Will you marry me?" Right? Because that's what agents were, when the managers were asking those questions, I'd get back, oh no, they're not this or they're not that, so I knew we weren't asking the right questions. So let's go through it. Real simple, this is Gino Blefari with Intero Real Estate Services. I'm calling to congratulate you on your new listing. Something like that. You need something to break the ice. You need to call, okay? Now here's the other thing. You need to set these times in your schedule. Okay, if your managers don't do it, it won't happen. If they don't set it in their schedule, it won't happen. So it just has to be in there. Thank you, okay, provides a soft opening and strokes the agent's ego. No big deal, okay? And now it's 2011, but you can say you set a goal to, can't read that one down there anyways, but set a goal to talk to agents that do business in your marketplace. And you might say something nice about them. Maybe one of your agents had a transaction with them, but you're just trying to engage them, get them to have coffee with you, okay? So they do that, okay? So that's a non-threatening way to set up a meeting with a potential agent. I'm just saying, you got to set up a meeting. If you can't get a meeting, it's a relationship business, but if you can't start off, you're not going to get anywhere. Now, they might say no, and then we had a little answer to say no, and you'll get all this dialogue. And I did a couple NLP training classes, so I set up all sorts of NLP responses to all sorts of objections, but you're just getting a tiny piece right here. So, bottom line is, once you're going to get in sales and influence, you must create a gap or stay with pain if you want the prospect to move forward and take some action. So this is the interview. Now this is the first meeting with anyone. In fact, I did it with Maria in the bar. Maria, remember the first night? Okay. And you know what? Everyone was doing it with everyone right here. They weren't even conscious of it. The thing is I've scripted out the 18 questions and I know what to say. So they're very, very basic. How would you describe what you do? You're trying to get to know the agent because usually they've built up antibodies against you because they know it's your job to recruit them. How'd you get started? Where are you originally from? What else do you do besides work? What's your current family situation? What was your family situation growing up? What kind of memories do you have of your childhood? What's one memory that stands out? Were you active in school? Who from your childhood had the biggest impact on you? What did that person teach you? As you look at your life as a radar scope, there'll be ups and downs. What's one of the highest highs? What does that tell you about yourself? What's one of the lowest lows? what got you through? If a young person asked you for advice on how to live their life, what would you tell them? What does the future hold for you? And when your life is over, how do you want to be remembered? Now, we're just having coffee. We're just talking. We're just talking right now, okay? And you're building a rapport with them, and nothing was said about you, nothing was said about your company, nothing. It's just your initial meeting. Now, you know what I did? I did this live for my managers. I recruited an agent live and had, my admin on a flip video in the back, kind of like videotaping the whole thing so we could see kind of like what it was. And it was much easier to get a second meeting because I didn't say anything about real estate, didn't say anything about Intero. So the second interview, potentially, okay? Hello, Brian, this is Gino from Intero Real Estate Services. Good getting to know you last week. Thanks for meeting with me. Now, the reason why I have this answer in here, because I've heard this answer 1,000 times. Yes, it was very nice to get to know you as well, and thanks for not trying to recruit me right off the bat. In fact, it made meeting with you again a lot easier because I felt very comfortable right now. Sometimes the manager, they couldn't get an appointment, and I would track who you called, if you set an appointment, and if you actually had an appointment. So I would score keep that, and when you score keep that, it kind of gives you what's going on. After someone becomes your friend, they're much more likely to discuss their career, their future, etc., right? Then, Brian, do you still have an open mind about your real estate career? What is he going to say, no? Yeah? Okay, yes. Okay, assumptive close, you still have. Most people like to think of themselves as open-minded. This is a great non-threatening way to start the interview. If you get off script, just be sure to ask as many yes questions as possible to build momentum. Brian, what percentage of your business do you attribute to XYZ real estate? Now, except for your companies, all of them say 0, okay? Because I would never interview one of your agents, okay? It wouldn't work. Why would I try, right? Okay? Okay, most agents convince themselves that their company has little or no effect on their business. Therefore, the typical agent is now better prepared to discuss the change since they themselves have quantified the insignificant role their present company plays in acquiring business. You didn't put them down for being at their old company. Okay, so tell me, if you don't want, if they don't help you create income, what do you like about XYZ real estate company? Why do you stay? What keeps you there? You know, why do you stay? What keeps you there? You're just talking, okay? And they would usually say something about things are fine, I'm busy, I like my manager, I like the location, I'm too busy to move right now. All sorts of things is what they say, right? And you have to figure out what that is. By asking why do you stay, you do the opposite of trying to determine why they will leave, which is agents are initially more reluctant to share. The question also informs you of the major issues you need to effectively relate to, right? I have my agents go out and do an interview. The other company just hammers our company and says how great their company is. And the agent kind of comes back pissed off. So, we don't want to do that. Brian, thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you, what's more important to you, how much money you make, or your manager, or whatever their objection might be? Making more money, everyone typically says that. This question begins to bring an objective perspective to an understandably subjective situations. Most agents quickly counter with more money. This now gives you permission to proceed rather than trying to unsuccessfully devalue what they hold valuable. And that's typically what I would see happen in an interview. Okay. Speaking of making more money, approximately how much did you make last year? Okay, ballpark figure. Of course, it's confidential. 200 grand. Okay. Obviously, that's highly sensitive, and you don't want to put them in a position to where they lie, and then they won't even meet with you again, okay? So, next one. I assume if you're like most agents, most great agents, you want to make more money with equal or less work. Am I correct? If that's the case, you're probably the type of person that wants at least to explore and be open to new opportunities that could potentially be a step up career-wise. Brian, is that true in your case? Yeah. Okay. Self-explanatory, and yet the agent is agreeing, gives you additional permission to continue moving in this direction and continue the process. Brian, we would all love to earn millions of dollars a year, but realistically, how much would you like to make this year? 300? At this point, not one word has been said about you, the manager, your office, or Intero, and not one negative thing about the agent's company, office, etc. It's all about the agent's desire to improve. That's kind of the message that we try to put across. Maybe not everybody wants to do it that way, but that's how we do it. Brian, would you settle for $275? Now, this is a setup question. Yeah, I guess. Yes, I guess. Okay, then you're probably not going to make $300,000, right? You want to be the guru of income. You want to be their coach, right? That's what we are. Okay, by pointing out how goals and human nature work through explaining to the agents that he or she will be compensated. Their goal is truly hits the nerve. This provides you, the manager, with control. You now see you as the guru regarding the laws of compensation, their compensation coach or mentor. Okay, so tell me, what's important to you about earning money? Now we want to try to get their why, right? My kids, retirement, financial independence. Okay, you're establishing the why, about why making money is critical to them. Shut up and really listen, okay? What are they going to tell you? How can you use that later on your close, okay? Brian, if you want to go from making 200 to 300, you don't need to change companies. XYZ Real Estate, Intero are great companies, aren't they? So it's not about that. You know, you don't need to change for that. He said yes. You just got the prospective agent to agree with you that Intero is a great company without making them feel like they are disrespecting the company they're currently with. Okay? And now, Brian, both companies have agents making 300, many agents making much more. I guess that makes sense that the thing we need to change is you, Brian. Would you agree? I guess that makes sense. Okay, now, got a terrible, terrible ego. Maybe you wouldn't say that exactly like that, okay? But usually people, I find the most productive agents pay $1,000 a month to a coach to call them up once per week and say this: what'd you do this week? Okay? What are you going to commit to next week? Okay? And then the next call, did you do it? I mean, okay, that'll be $1,000, and they're happily pay it, right? Okay, most agents that we interview expect a major part of our premise for encouraging them to join our company to be that we are a better company office. They're prepared for this, even defensive. In some cases, you show a program agent achieve. The agent says they have something similar. They call it something else and remain defensive because they're implying that the company they work for is not as good as ours. I've rarely have any agents come for the stuff, okay? If they come for the stuff, they usually leave you for the stuff many times, okay? I'll try to meet every single agent when I give them the Intero story and orientation to our company after we hire them. And I'll talk about our great texting program of 59559, and they'll look me like, wow, that is a great thing. Now, I know their manager probably mentioned it to them, but they don't even remember. Okay, or even things like as great as luxury portfolio, or all of those things. So, you know, I can't focus on making that the reason why they come. It's, you know, maybe one of the reasons. By pointing out that they need to change, it demonstrates reality, encourages self-improvement, continuous growth. That is our culture. Now, when they know our culture, we're all about continuous growth, okay? We want agents that are coachable, willing to grow, and in alignment with the Intero value pyramid, because we have saying, once you think you know it all, your slide to mediocrity has already begun. Okay, it prevents the agent from feeling we are criticizing their company and them for still working there. It avoids coming across with the very childish strategy of showing our company is better than your company. Rather than asking them to discover their difference, we discover how our company wants them to discover their differences first. Great, Brian. Then the real issue is, do you feel I can help you? Does that make sense? Now, your manager's got to be, our managers, who we, you know, Jose mentioned, we kind of call them leaders. There's all sorts of things they have to do, but their main thing that they do is they recruit and they coach. Okay, that's the main piece of what they do. So somebody else can do some of these other things. And so it's going to make sense if the manager is going to be able to coach the person and make them better. All right, agents are more interested in how we can help them improve, not how they can improve our company. The agent now becomes very curious on how we can make them. This explains why agents are more likely to pay and attend self-improvement seminars like Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, Tom Ferry. Sometimes attending company programs is for free. Have a company program for free, you can't get it. You almost have to browbeat them to get them to go. They go here. In fact, this is the best place to recruit. You go to every one of these events because you got people that are willing to pay money to get better. They want to get better, and those are the ones that you want at your office. I go to every single one. I'm coached one-on-one by Mike Ferry. I coached one-on-one by Tom Ferry, coached one-on-one by Dermot Buffini. Not coached by Mike anymore because he got pissed off at me because I bought a bunch of books of Tom's to get him on the bestseller list. So he fired me as his coach. So now I fixed him. I coach with Matthew Ferry in his own company, and now Mike and I are pals again. But it's just interest. You get those things. You know, everybody's personality and on how it works. Okay, Brian, have you ever heard the phrase learn to earn? Yes. So my question is, what do you have to learn in order to achieve your income goal? That's what we're getting at, okay? So is it time management? Most agents have terrible time management skills, okay? If you teach them time management, you're going to get them to do X number of deals. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're completely just not accountable. No one wants to be accountable because it shows us exactly who we are, right? you know? And again, maybe they have a terrible presentation, so we can work on those. But we can work on something. We should be able to increase their per person productivity by 3 transactions if they're willing to try to get better, okay? And that's the whole purpose. And you can always turn that into income for them. Okay, so what do you think you need to learn? They say, whatever they say, tell me more, look for opportunities. All right, and then you're going to say, okay, now you're going to have all these different plans already set up because you already know the majority of the objections. So, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable, or I'm going to teach you time management. Here's 63 points on time management. Give me your top 5, great. Let's implement them in January. Now, put in your schedule to implement the next 5 in February. You know, you can't do it all at one time. So you're basically trying to help your agent. Okay, so you determine how much that is worth. Once again, you're playing the role as the internal manager, coach, mentor, and helping the agents reach their goal. Brian, if I'm going to commit to help you make the necessary changes, I need to really know how you're running your business. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Okay, we think agents enjoy how intensely we're dedicated toward making the recruiting interview their first coaching meeting. Now, look at agents that don't want to do business, don't want to work hard, are not going to be attracted to this culture. But that's okay, right? Oh, I'm not going to do, you're going to make me work. I thought that was the idea, you know? Okay. Great, Brian, because if all you want to do is make essentially the same amount of money, you should not leave XYZ Real Estate. You should not make a lateral move. It does not make sense to make a lateral move. So by choosing not to join me and receive the coaching and mentoring that I can provide, if you're saying no to that, you're actually choosing a lateral move. The first thing I'd like to do is get a sense of what you perceive your strengths and weaknesses to be. I need to know more about you and how you work so I can help you get to the next level. Can we discuss that? It's dialogue like that, okay? It just says here, you know, how often has a top agent in other companies told you that they did not want to make a lateral move? This oftentimes was a prefix to the question regarding their desire to become a manager, but that's good because that helps you with your on-deck circle, right? Come over, learn our culture, learn what we do, and maybe we need a manager. You could be that. You know, by suggesting how only by helping them become more effective, it's a lateral move that they don't change, okay? If they stay with their company, it's a lateral move. I think you guys get the idea, all right? Okay, so let's recap. You're with XYZ company, but not because you make more money. You make 200K, you want to make 300K. What you need to learn is time management or your listing presentation or whatever, okay? Currently, you have no plan in place to make that happen. The reason you want to learn is this. You know, it's clear you have to make a change unless you want to make more money. Now, you got to, on a scale of 1 to 10, and then let's say 7. Now, here's the deal on that. In every good selling situation, you need to summarize the points, make sure your customer clearly understands them. Summing up 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, you know where they really stand. Now, here's the deal. I just roboted through a whole bunch of stuff. You wouldn't do it that way. When I talked to Maria, she had no idea I had 18 planned questions, and I was going over them with her. She was telling me about, you know, her son. She was talking about what's important to her. She's talking about all these things. And if she said she was from, you know, New York, I said, you know, I was born in Massachusetts. So there's dialogue going along. You just can't do this. If you have no skill, you will hire no one. Okay, you know, and it just won't happen. There's no magic pill to any of this stuff. Okay, so if they decide to move forward immediately, great. Before we decide, go, and here's what I quickly like to self-assessment. So then there's a self-assessment plan. Okay, real quick, you just ask them questions, they do that. Now, thank you for completing that, and then they want to start. Well, I want to just one more thing. It wasn't on my little deal, but nothing works. Okay, if you don't measure it, nothing works. And realtors hate to be measured. Managers hate even be more to be measured, you know? If you can, and don't, measuring is not, well, I don't want to be micromanaged. I'm not micromanaging you, I'm just scorekeeping. I'm scorekeeping for success, because here's what I know. When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates. And I can tell you an exact thing that happened, okay, to Intero. It's 2009. We just came off 2007, 2008. Not good years, bad years. So I figured out we have to change. We got to do something different because what we're doing is not working. So, and in 2000, what happened? Here's the other thing. Am I out of time? Give me 2 more minutes, okay? Because this, I think, is better than what I just gave you. In 2006, 2007, and started to be the beginning of 2008, you know what I did every morning? I got up and turned on CNBC. okay? The worst possible thing any of us could do, because all I did was put in my mind bad stuff. I knew what the stupid stock market was doing and all this stuff that I didn't really need to do. So in 2008, I made a vow that I was never going to do that again. And all I would do was listen to audio books and things like that. And you know, I'm kind of like, once I decide on something, I really get into it, and I end up listening to 2 books a week, okay? Because I committed to working out, so there was an hour and a half, committed to walking my dog, and there was another hour. It's 2.5 hours of putting good stuff in my head, because just started staying guard there. And in December of a terrible year, in Success Magazine, they put a DVD and a CD front and back, and they did an interview with a guy by the name of Jack Canfield. Chicken Soup for the Soul, some of you remember him, right? He talked about how he couldn't get the thing done. He couldn't get his book published, couldn't get it published. And I'm just sitting there thinking how broke I am and how I can't handle one more bad year. And he said something pretty interesting. He said, you know what? He says, we couldn't get it done, so what we decided to do with Mark Victor Hansen and I, we called 5 people every day. 5 people every day. We decided we could do that, and we called 5 people every day. And, you know, he gets it published, and now he's a bajillionaire, right? So one of the things I did was I had fired the coach. We had Mike Ferry's group coaching our coaches, coaching our managers every Monday. It cost me $2,500. I figured, you know what, I can save $2,500. I'll be the coach. So January 4th, I said to him, okay, guys, I told him a story that I just told you about Jack Hansen in more detail. And I said, how many people can you call? How many people could you call in a day? Your choice. Oh, 5. Okay, great. We're all going to call 5. Great. On the 11th, you know, next Monday back, you know how many called? 5 out of 17 people? Like 3 of them, and they only did it like 3 or 4 days. So now I had to figure out a way to motivate them, and because they're kind of team players, I made up a contest. Got 3 teams, told them what they had to do. Just make your 5 calls, tell me how many appointments you set, how many appointments you had. But here was the key. Every night, by midnight, they had to turn in their little form to say what they did. So now I was measuring. And what Jack Canfield said was, there was this guy, Charles Coonrad, he wrote the book, The Game of Work and Scorekeeping for Success. So I memorized those books, so I kind of knew what to do. Crazy thing happened is they hired 18 people, okay, in January, because no one was moving. The market's bad, right? No, you weren't working. That's why no one was moving. Bottom line is 18 people in January, 22 people in February, 33 people in March, hired like 279 people. Now, you can hire bodies, right? So about halfway through, it says, you know what? I'm going to measure the closed company dollar from the people that we didn't have that we actually got, okay? Look at that. Now, this is actually one of the reports that I gave him. Now, it's in December 9th of 09. But if you look down on that second to last column, $1,025,974.66 we put into the bottom line solely from recruiting. If we didn't do it, if we didn't measure it, it wouldn't have been there, okay? We ended up at $1.4 million pure profit from the people that we hired, okay? That's my little thing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Is this on? Oh, yeah. Good afternoon. Unlike Gino, I only have 1 slide with 4 bullet points, so we'll keep this quick. I guess my responsibility on this was specific activities that we do in terms of recruiting and retention. Before I get into those activities, a couple caveats. 1, we've got a really engaged owner who is very well known, very well respected in our marketplace. He is overly aggressive in terms of his willingness to field phone calls, meet with prospective recruits. He enjoys having agents come into the office and tell the story of the company and benefits and that sort of thing. So from that standpoint, really fortunate there as a company. And secondly, in December, we read a little 51-page leaflet as a leadership team called Sticking to It, the Law of Adherence. And everything, I agree with you, Gino, everything's about consistency, keeping it simple, but do the simple things every single day. And so 4 things that we have identified as specific activities as a leadership team that either is a weekly or monthly activity based on recruiting and retention are, and I don't, you want to go ahead and click? Our marketing department, every day, every week, just kind of goes through and finds relevant business articles, whether they pertain to real estate or not. And we've just created a library of these articles, and marketing packages them up, makes them look good, sends them to our leadership team every month for them to send out both to the agents in their particular office, but as well as the agents that they've targeted. And every manager has created a distribution list that hopefully is a living distribution list and growing, that they communicate with those people on a regular basis. So every single month, we've got a relevant business article. It looks good. It's not just a mass blast. We ask them to send that out to that target audience individually, so there's a little bit of time there. But every month that happens. Is it this one? Handwritten notes. We're very, very big in handwritten notes. The state of Oregon does a great job in putting together the state pass list and test eligibility list. And again, guys, nothing is profound here. It's just something that we do consistently, and it just happens either every week or every month. But handwritten notes from the owner and myself to every potential recruit, to every recruit, and then every staff and one of our agents on the company anniversary. And that's handwritten, and it's mailed to their house. So it's not to their office. It's not in their mailbox at the office or even at corporate office. It's mailed to their house, and I can't tell you how appreciative, especially agents that have been with us a long time, or even agents from other companies and staff. So that's been I think our owner was a little taken back by how time-consuming that was every month, given the number of agents we have, but it's definitely been beneficial over the last year we've been doing that. Monthly webinars. The fourth Thursday of every single month, we've got a company-wide webinar, and it could be anything from we've had a top producing agent panel. Being in the Prudential Network has been nice from tapping into resources throughout the country, so it's not just agents within our particular company. And we've had Tom Ferry do a webinar, a short sale webinar, so just anything that's really relevant to business today, whether it be from a coaching or business development standpoint or to specific challenges in the marketplace, whether it be REOs or short sales or whatnot. But that webinar is the fourth Thursday of every month. Every agent knows about it. There's an Outlook invite. We flood our system with promotional flyers, hyping it up each month, and that's been a really great retention tool for us, but that's also a direction that we're going in terms of training, because we can archive it, agents can access it from wherever and whenever, and from a brick and mortar standpoint, direction we're going, this is going to be really beneficial for us. Lastly, and this is a daily activity, in my calendar at 4:30 in the afternoon every single day, this is what I invest my time in. So we go to the RMLS hot sheet, which I think, and I search the whole marketplace. Our managers in their particular marketplaces just focus on their region. Click the hot sheet, go back one day. Now I do listings, sales, and closed units for the entire marketplace. Click search. Usually comes up with a couple hundred in each category. Click all. Go to agent full. And you want to do this daily, because if you go a couple days of properties, it just is time consuming. Yeah. Anyways, what pops up is all those, the RMLS data and all those listings or sales or closed units. Oh, there we go. So all I do, if you scroll down to the bottom a little bit, their email's a hyperlink. So I've got my Outlook open. I copy and paste the property address, click the email, just automatically goes into my Outlook, and copy and paste in the subject line, that property address, and it's an email, congratulations on your new listing. And as you build that relationship over time, you get to know people better. And so, one gal at a competing company, she's a huge Ducks fan, and so we bantered back and forth most of December, and she's a big producer, so we kind of go back and forth pretty regularly. And we talked about, the Ducks playing in the national championship, and she was going, so wishing her and her family happy holidays and safe travels. It can move away from production just to getting to know them better on a personal level, which, to your point, Gino, it's all about relationships. So this single activity, Every one of our managers has this in their calendar every single day. They blind CC our owner and myself, so we keep a tally of, one, the activities being done, two, who they're communicating with. But it's amazing, the feedback and response has been, boy, you know more about my business than my manager, or thanks a lot. It's been really a very positive in terms of building a relationship, and I've got it down to about 30 minutes, so I'm still done by 5 o'clock. Everything's about consistency. So again, nothing profound, pretty simple, but it's done every day or every month. And I think over the last 24 months, we brought on 198 new agents to the company, and that's about a 65-35 split between experienced and new, and everybody's new is up to a year in the business, and beyond that, we consider experienced. So again, just as a group, we've bought into a couple specific activities that you just consistently do every day or every month. So that's my part.
Sorry, no PowerPoint for me. That's interesting you use the word consistency. We, over the last about 18 months, we had a catchphrases that we've been using for our agents. And it's consistency, commitment, connection. Well, I've been thinking about it quite a bit. That carries over to exactly what Jason was just saying, right? Everything you do in retention-wise, you need to be consistent, you need to be committed, and you need to be connected. We've heard some pretty key words over the last day. One of them was culture. How are you keeping your culture together? By the way, I'm going to be pretty quick, and I would love to hear some of your ideas on what you're doing retention-wise. Kind of helps us out as well, everybody in the group. So culture starts from, obviously, the top down. We're doing some, I'm sure everybody here is doing things like events, things like that. The other word I heard yesterday was leadership. Our agents really want to follow. They want to make sure that they are connected to their managers and their owners. So one of the things we've done, I said to somebody yesterday, I had the busiest December I've ever had. 16 years in the business, my December was packed. And it wasn't because of transactions. We were having 10-person meetings with our agents, just asking them if they're okay. Just keeping your arms around them so they don't run out the door. But literally, we're getting their feedback from everything: culture, staff, technology, marketing, fees, you name it. We'll open that door. Let's have the conversation. And then we followed up with the email on the notes that we took, and then we'll send it out. We have a kickoff breakfast here in next week, and we'll talk about some of the changes, some of the things we're going to implement to address some of their concerns. So it's really keeping your arms around them. One of the things we've noticed, and I'm sure everybody in the room has noticed, is there's starting to be a fairly large divide between full service, full fee, and low service, low fee. And that divide is becoming very apparent to us. With third-party technology products and everything else available, mom and pop boutiques are popping up all over the place. Our agents might leave to start their own, and they can get the same services. So what are we doing to combat that? What's our value proposition? And what we've decided is, you went from a broker-centric to agent-centric, and now you're in the customer life cycle, right? Well, the reality is, for us as a brokerage, we need to offer more service, more. And that translates to staff being more involved, taking ownership of different products, being connected to all of our agents. Helps with retention for sure, helps with productivity as well, obviously. One program we rolled out also about 18 months ago to combat this, actually, I stole it from Larry Kendall and the group in Colorado. We went back there. They have a very high staff to agent ratio. So we took a look at their program, brought it back to Seattle and modified it for our agents. And it's for lack of a better term, it's a shared assistant program. 8 to 10 people we call it a pod, point of differentiation. It's 8 to 10 people in a group with one pod coordinator. That pod coordinator, we also talked yesterday, we can give all the tools to all of our agents. I mean, there are tools out there way too many. Are they going to use them? I mean, we have 20 to 30% adoption of our tools at Windermere. People are busy, so this program takes it over for the agent. Okay, the idea is we give them a better work-life kind of relationship, so they don't have to do the administrative tasks that they get bogged down doing: flyer creation, copywriting, photos, listing inputs, database management, consistent marketing. Okay, back to the consistency. Are they putting out their pieces regularly, or can we help and do that? This, by the way, is a pay-for service on top of all the fees that they already pay. We originally rolled it out. By the way, I own 6 offices in Seattle as well as the franchise business. So we rolled it out to our 6 offices. We got 5 groups that are doing it over the last year, and they pay a significant amount of money more to do the program in a down market. The residual effect of what we've done is it's actually pretty cool. They're earning about 25% more because of the program, which is really nice. They're paying the fees plus making more money. They feel like they're part of a group. They're like a team almost. So that helps in retention-wise. They have forgotten how to do the regular real estate things, which is nice because they can't leave. And the reality is we spend a ton of time on our the people who aren't making it. We train them a ton. We also spend a ton of time with our high producers. What are we doing with our middle tier people? The people that just consistently are there. Well, this program really was built for them. We didn't really do it on purpose, but that's the way they took it. They're like, oh my God, you created a program for us? How great. And really what it's done is been able to get their GCI from, let's say, 80 to 100 or 120. So they're really excited about the program. So those are kind of some of the things we're doing. And really it's the connection to the people. If you are connecting to them, people leave for 2 reasons: fees, and they're just not making it, or they're having problems with the management or somebody in the office. It's a connection issue. So retention-wise, you just got to keep your arms around them.
So Gino and Jason, I was curious. It sounds like you have some true recruiting programs in place. Are your managers, are they the ones that are calling specifically? And if they are you incentivizing them based on number of recruits, or what's the motivating factor to keep them calling?
Before, just the last manager we hired we did do an incentive program specifically on recruiting, but all the managers are paid on a percentage of the pre-tax profit, so it makes sense that they have to do it, and they have pretty good salaries, and so it's their job to do it. I think Jack from Remax, you said it best on the first day on how to attract and retain killer agents is to have a killer leader in the office. That's kind of like really what works best. It's almost like any model that you have. If you have a real good leader in that office, it works really, really well. If you don't, doesn't matter what models that you have, it's not going to work.
It's really a 2-step approach for us. The manager makes the initial contact, and the most success we've had is they continue that relationship, but also ask our owner to make the call, and he does 100% of the time, and that has really paid great dividends because those receiving that call are impressed and appreciative that somebody at that level just take the time to reach out and say hello. And to your point, we don't beat them up, or it's no hard sell on Prudential Northwest Properties. It's about building a relationship. So in our company, everybody's recruiting. Compensation is a lot like Gino's. Good salaries, that's their job, and put some accountability practices into place.
Is it on now? Okay. That it seems as though a lot of managers have stagnated and they're not making calls, and it's kind of the industry. And what are you doing that's causing, are you changing managers? Is there anything going on that's really causing this energy to make the 5 calls and and create the momentum that your companies are growing? 198, Gino, you're not that old as far as a company, are you? So how...
As a company, she qualified the question. You're not that old as far as a company. So what's your question?
My question is
the answer to both is no. Or
it's
yes.
Obviously recruiting's been a big
Right.
part of
Yes.
you
Absolutely.
getting to where you are.
Yeah.
So your manager's a big part of it. You've been
Yes.
a big part of it.
Yeah.
It's built into the culture.
The managers are a big part of it. I have this thing like if they had to contact 5, then I'm going to contact 5. If we had, we did the holiday hustle where from November 30th, you had to call 10 people. Well, I did it, okay? I did it first and usually was finished and let them know who I called, and we're all reporting into each other. Remember, Neil, I gave you that one. I said one of my calls was to Neil, just to wish him happy holidays. But yeah, you have to do it. You have to keep track of it. And yeah, we replace a few of them at least the bottom person every year. And usually that makes everybody else kind of like step up. Okay.
And what sort of lists are your managers calling from? Is it through closings that your other agents have closed from? But where are they getting the list that they can call 5 people a day?
By the way, just to add to this, and I think everybody knows this, agents are your best source of recruit almost. And if you set the culture correctly, that they want to work with the best people in the industry, then they should be bringing those people to you as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? Pam?
Question, Gino, if you are making those calls, do you ever run into the issue of then they want you as their manager?
No, because they know I don't manage an office, but I will coach. I will coach an agent one-on-one. I'll meet with an agent. I probably have 4 meetings this weekend with agents to look at their business plan and to do that. So, my mission is I help people achieve their goals faster than they would in my absence. And I go around saying I'm a buddy and a coach to anyone that wants to get better. So sometimes they do that with me, but and they do, but I'm just part of it. And we do the same. We're pretty active. Like I got a text last night that from Tom Tognoli. He had hired someone, wanted me to give him a call. I gave him a call. Within probably 10 minutes, I texted him back that I did it. He texted me, says, great, both you and Bob Moles called that person. He's pretty fired up. So we try to, our leadership style is not to ask a manager to do anything that I'm not absolutely willing to do myself. Okay, and that's kind of like what we do. And then from an agent standpoint, we want our managers doing everything that we're asking our agents to do. It's kind of try to lead by an example.
Yes.
Has anyone ever considered hiring a recruiter instead of putting that charge to your managers?
Yeah, we've done a few different programs. There is a competitor of ours in our neck of the woods that has a recruiter that does it, and in our opinion, that doesn't work. If our managers aren't willing to get on the phone and call these people, they don't want to go there anyway. On the flip side, we've had a program that is kind of a career, it peruses career websites, whether it's Craigslist or Monster or something like that, and profiles people and then sends those people to us. These are pre-licensed people who are looking for a job. And we have found that didn't necessarily work all that great either.
Gino, is that 5 calls per day or 5 actual contacts completed?
5 actual contacts.
Okay.
And
So they can make 20 calls before they...
Yeah, but you can still do it pretty quick. When we did the holiday hustle, and we stepped it up to do 10, and I was on a trip. Okay, and I came back, and it was kind of annoyed me because really not many of them were doing it, and so I started at probably at 4:15, and while I was at the airport making the calls, and by 5 o'clock I sent out an email and told them, look, I made my 10 contacts, and exactly here's who they are, and so it's just a matter of Emerson said, do the thing, have the power. You just got to do something. And I have our managers recruit, because if they keep on their schedule, they're not really doing, work expands to fit the time allotted. They're not really doing anything anyways, and recruiting is something they want to come work for the manager that recruits them. So give them that job to recruit.
Yeah, we've talked earlier, by the way, about should a manager be all things, and I think you guys have figured it out. They shouldn't be, because the lowest common denominator is going to be, I don't want to go and recruit. That's uncomfortable. So I'd rather look at paperwork and do other things. So maybe changing the job description as well.
And Jason, what's in your handwritten note that you're sending out? Is it just congratulations? Is there some call to action to give us a call, or what's going in that?
To the new agents, it's, congratulations, I'm paraphrasing here, congratulations on your decision to pursue a career in real estate. We'd love an opportunity to get together and, learn more about what your goals are and see if we'd be a good business partner to you. So it's short, sweet, simple, to the point, but that, like most competitors, we used to send out just a huge pamphlet of information why Prudential Northwest Properties is the greatest in technology and marketing and yada, yada, yada. And we've gotten more calls and better feedback by it just stood out because it was a handwritten note. And so it's just really 2 sentences, 2-3 sentences, and that's that. To staff, agents, experienced agents with us, it's more just a thank you or congratulations on their business. Thanks for being with the company.
Still the best thing the best technology in real estate is a handwritten note. It's the only one. I look at the mail, the only thing I ever would even pull out of my mail, is a handwritten note. And it's amazing how it works. And Buffini's little deal on how to keep agents, that's part of it. And I think we all have certified, in our company, every manager is a certified mentor. So, you got people writing the 5 handwritten notes, you're making your different things and stuff like that. But handwritten notes are just huge. We had a class, we do all sorts of crazy classes, but we had a class on how to make money in the bedroom, and that was the little title of it. But all it was is we brought all the spouses in with the agents and their spouses, and we taught the spouse how to get business for their spouse. To every new agent that gets a license in our area, we send one of those crazy packets out with all our junk in it. We also have the manager send to their zip codes that they service a handwritten note. We never get a call back on the junk. We always get a call back on the handwritten note.
If I can read that. If killer agents, how do you overcome my current broker won't release my listings? Oh, yeah. How often are you you're having recruiting meetings, conversations, and agents are excited, but they can't leave because they feel owned by their current broker because they own the listings? And how do you overcome that?
It kind of depends. One of the ways we do sometimes rarely that happens. Sometimes you get a real small broker that will do it, but typically our big competitors don't do that. But what you can do is you can say, okay, we'll pay you the company. We'll pay you your share of the commission for that because we want them for a long term. Into that regard, when someone leaves, we go out of our way to be incredibly nice to them. Help them, leave their phone on, leave their email on, leave all of that stuff on, because we obviously we want to get them back. And I think the worst we've done it both ways over the years, over 25 years of doing this. The other way doesn't work. You have a terrorist out there, but it's really great if you can just bend over backwards and even call in and check on them, and hey, how you doing over there?
Anyone else want to address that one? No?
We've just taken the position to your point that, if they don't want to be in partnership with us, then it's probably best for both, and we'd like to get them back too. On the recruiting side, you just got to ask more questions. Is that a condition or an objection to making the move? But I rarely get that one.
I noticed personally that real estate agents, I'm not active recruiting at all, but when I talk to some, even socially, they'll publicly admit that they're not happy where they are, but they won't make a change. What are you doing, or how do you work with real estate agents to cause them to provoke them, or whatever the word is, to try to help them change? Because they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm not happy, but they're still there how many years later?
You know, I think part of it is being in the flow. There will be a time when they are ready to move, and as long as you're staying in contact and being that trusted source and somebody they feel comfortable with, they'll move for you.
And that's kind of like the whole idea of those original 18 questions that I showed you. You kind of like are staying in their flow. You know what they like. You know something about them, and eventually it happens.
So part of then your managers, what they're doing is not necessarily just calling new agents, but they're following up with the past appointments that they've had, and is that a standard practice for your managers as well?
Yeah, the most successful office I have, it takes 10 to 15 years to recruit. I mean, these are high-end people who, over
Right,
time,
wow.
that just being there for them, it'll happen.
And do you have any sort of, there's the phone call, what other sort of follow-up programs maybe that are consistent, that are in place? One thing that I was impressed by personally is that I met Gino at NAR at some dinner party I think that Jose was putting on, and next thing I know I have 3 people of Gino's team that are sending me blog articles that are just ongoing, and great content, by the way. But I was thinking, man, if I was in his market, this would be pretty compelling. So I noticed that might be something you're doing to stay in touch, but
Yeah.
what are some maybe more automated things to stay in touch
That
as well?
is automated. When we meet someone, we get a card. I give it to them. They get Monday Morning Mojo on Monday. They get by Tom Tognoli. They get the Intero Insider by me on Tuesday. They get a Wednesday Wellness on our Vice President of Fitness. They get Thursday Thoughts on Leadership, which I write. They get a cool app from our partner John Thompson. They get another, like, more of a vitamin health type one from a health food type guy, Justin Moles. And on Sunday, they get a legal update. So there's a blog every single day. You get kind of bombarded, and you can opt out, but that's what happens. So you probably just got signed up on 3 of them.
I think I did. Yes, anybody else? Anyone doing follow-up?
I think it's also, the managers are out in the field. Real estate's local, right? Go to their brokers' opens, go to their open houses, make sure that you're still around, showing that you're active in the field. Automated's awesome, but being in front of them is great.
I created one time, I still have it, but I created, how like in the NFL, they have a quarterback rating where it takes all those things. I broke down what a manager would do into probably about 75 different little measurables, and could put a rating thing in there, and then I could rate. It's right through DPN. You can just put these numbers in there, and you can rank your manager on like 70 different little tiny measurements, and then see where they stand in the group. And usually the bottom person disappeared, and then it's like they're not shocked that they are not there.
Anything else? Going once? Going twice? All right, thank you.
Okay.